Ready for round two? Today I got 10 more questions for your main character, and I think you're going to love them. What's up, guys? My name is Brandon McNulty. I'm a writer, and welcome to my writing channel. If you missed my previous video on my 10 questions for your main character, you can check it out in the link in the description below. Today I'm going to be doing a sequel to it with 10 more questions, and all you really need to know is that when you do approach these questions, try and get in your main character's head, get in their shoes, and figure out how they would answer these questions. Think of it as answering these questions, these interview questions, from their perspective. So without further ado, my first question for today: where did you get your morals? And this is an interesting question because we love characters who have specific moral beliefs or moral codes, and it's especially interesting if we know where they got those codes from. Was it from a parent or a grandparent, something conventional like that? Or was it from a TV show or an institution, or maybe a manual, or were they coded to believe something like this? Depending on who your character is and what kind of story world they're living in, there could be a lot of different sources for morality. Now, my number two question is, how have those morals changed over the course of your character's life? So, depending on what they learned when they were a kid, think about what changed as they became a teenager, as they became a young adult, as they got into adulthood, as they moved through their 20s, their 30s, and so on. This is interesting because over time, morals are challenged. If you've ever watched a Captain America movie, you know that Steve Rogers is constantly having his beliefs challenged, and how he responds to it is what makes his character so interesting. So ask yourself, ask your character, I should say, what has changed for them as far as their moral beliefs go through the years. Number three, what is the most horrible thing that you have done? Now keep in mind that horrible is a subjective word. Horrible to one person might be completely harmless to another. So when you're answering this question from your character's perspective, keep that in mind. Because yes, maybe they committed murder, maybe they killed a whole bunch of people, but from their perspective, maybe the worst thing they've ever done was missing their son's baseball game, or letting their dog be put to sleep, or something like that. Depending on what they believe and what world they're living in, horrible can mean a lot of different things, so keep that in mind. Now, my number four question is, what line is your character unwilling to cross? And this is an interesting one because I think a lot of characters, like Batman, for instance, he won't use guns, he won't kill people. And you think about Dexter, he's a serial killer who only kills bad guys. What is a line that your main character won't cross? Figure that out because it's something that can make a character very interesting. Number five, what fears are you willing to admit to others? This is an important question because fears are an important part of who we are, and they often drive us during our daily lives. Some fears we're comfortable talking about with other people. For instance, I have friends who say that they're afraid of spiders, they're afraid of heights, or they're afraid of dying in a car crash. They have no problem talking about certain fears. And yet, my number six question is, what fears do you keep to yourself? And this is so important because oftentimes these are the strongest fears. These are the ones that drive us insane because we don't get them out of our systems. So figure out what scares your characters the most and what do they keep on the inside. Are they afraid of dying alone? Are they afraid of seeing their ex-husband happy with someone else? Are they afraid they're not a good enough parent? Are they afraid they're going to lose their job? So many fears are inside us that we just don't express to other people. Figure out which ones bother your character the most. Number seven, why did you choose your job, profession, or vocation? And this is such an important question because so often your character will be defined by what they do for a living. And you need to understand why they chose that particular career path. It could be for a number of different reasons. Maybe they just needed money. Maybe they needed to belong somewhere. Maybe they had a passion they pursued. Maybe they were trying to avenge someone or something. Whatever the reason is, it helps to know the why behind such a major life decision as a career path, because if they're doing something on a daily basis, there has to be a reason for it. And that leads me to my number 8 question, which is, why have you stuck with that job, profession, or vocation? There has to be a reason that they didn't quit or didn't try something else. There's always other options on the table. Why have they stuck with it? Is it because they love this profession, or they're afraid to leave it, or the money's too good, or they can't think of anything better to do with their lives? Figure out why they've stuck with it for so long and why they didn't try something else. My number 9 question, what is something that you hate about the people you most admire? So figure out who your character cares the most about, and then dig a little deeper and find something about each of these characters that your main character hates. This is such an important thing to do because it'll help you develop more well-rounded characters, more realistic characters. Oftentimes I see stories where the main character, they admire the people around them so much, and they don't even pick out any little flaws, or it's just like, it just feels a little too perfect. It feels unrealistic. So when you're coming up with your main character, figure out who's in their life and figure out what they hate about those people. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's only human for us to find faults in others and find things that just drive us insane. Even if you totally admire someone, like maybe you have a character who just adores their young daughter, but maybe they can't stand it when that daughter is yelling while they're on the phone. Or maybe you have a character who just admires his wife and he loves her to death and he thinks she's amazing, but when they show up at a dinner party and she starts bragging about her accomplishments, maybe that's a turnoff. Maybe that's something that he always wanted to call her out on, but he never had the courage to do. Figure out big things, little things, whatever it is that drives your main character crazy about the people that your main character cares the most about. And the flip side of this question is my number 10 question, and it's, what do you admire in the people that you hate the most? So this could be maybe the villain in your story, or maybe somebody that your main character is competing with. Figure out some kind of quality that maybe your villain or some side character possesses that makes your main character respect them in some way or another. And I guarantee if you do that, you will come up with characters who are more realistic, and your readers will thank you for it. Thank you guys for watching. If you're interested in receiving a complete list of all the questions discussed in this video and the previous video, as well as some bonus questions, check out the link in the description below. It's a link to my mailing list on my website, and if you sign up for it, you'll receive a free PDF that lists out all the different questions. It's something you can easily copy and paste into a Word document, and you can work through these questions one by one. And if you do sign up for the mailing list, I promise you I won't be spamming you with anything. I'll only be sending out weekly reminders about my YouTube videos, as well as some future reminders about some exciting writing news that I'll be having next year. I don't want to spoil anything just yet, but 2020 is going to be a pretty exciting year for me as a writer, and hopefully for you guys as readers. So check that out, and regardless of whether or not you sign up for it, thank you guys for watching today. Please like and subscribe, share with a friend if you don't mind, and as always, remember to keep on writing.